Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making some quinoa flatbread with the star of the show, hummus. Now we're going to make these hummuses 3 different ways, so you can choose to make all of them or you can make one if you have a particular favorite in mind. First we have the roasted smoky red pepper and garlic. We also have the original fresh garlic hummus and spicy hot pepper hummus. So let's get started. So first off, you are going to need some garbanzo beans. You can use canned, you can use boxed, you can use cooked fresh, however you'd like, okay? And you are going to need 2 cups. But what I will say is you will need to save the garbanzo bean water, the bean water known as aquafaba. Here, I'm just showing you that you actually don't need to remove the skins. I personally leave them on. If you want to go through all that extra work to do so, you totally can. Some people basically say that it makes the hummus a lot more smoother. Like I said, it's up to you. So we will first start off with some tahini and make sure it's all mixed up, and we are going to use 3 tablespoons of tahini. Now make sure you're using a high-speed blender for this because you will need to blend it very well. And we're going to add the 3 tablespoons of tahini to the 2 cups of garbanzo beans. And next up, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of fresh ground cumin. You can use cumin seeds too if you'd like, because we are going to blend them up, but the cumin seeds are going to be a little bit more potent, just FYI. And then we are going to need 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. That pre-store-bought squeezed juice, it's not gonna do it. So you're gonna need 4, which typically would be about 2 lemons. That's what I've experienced from making all of these hummuses. And the reason that I decided to make the original garlic hummus first is because this is gonna be your base for any type of hummus that you'd like to make. Whether it be a spicy hummus, whether it be a cilantro hummus, whether it be a pesto hummus, whichever you decide to make. So next up we have garlic. So the garlic can sometimes be a little potent if you're not a garlic person, so I would typically say 1 to 2 garlics for the actual recipe. Now I'm using 3 because your girl likes garlic. And as you can see, I smashed them here and then cut the ends, and that kind of helps you peel them a lot easier, in case you didn't know. Another quick tip that I want to give that I feel like I never really hear this, but hummus is one of those recipes that it tastes so much better after it's been refrigerated for hours. So this is something to keep in mind after we are all done with our hummuses, okay? So as you can see here, I'm pouring the lemon juice in there as well. And then we're going to turn the blender on. You can turn it on high if you'd like, or work your way up to high speed. And we want to make sure that all the ingredients that we've put in so far are fully blended. Now this can take a few minutes, so I'm going to speed this up, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's all been thoroughly blended together. Now here you can see it's all blended up, and it's really thick, but it's all blended. So we're going to need to add some liquid. Now this is the aquafaba, that bean water that we saved. Now if for some reason you don't have any aquafaba, you can use cold water, but it doesn't work the same as the aquafaba, so I suggest saving that bean water, y'all. Okay, so we are going to mix 4 tablespoons of that into the blender and re-blend it one more time. And this will take a few minutes as well. So I'm going to speed it up. And you'll notice that it's going to be a lot more smoother here. Can you tell the difference before and after? So we're all done. We're just going to add a little bit of sea salt to taste. Now, typically, this is all on your preference, but I'd say about a ½ teaspoon, and that should be pretty good. You can add more or less if you'd like, based off of your taste. Now, I'm just putting it in these little ramekins here for presentation purposes, but you can store them in whichever type of containers you'd like. And then we are going to move into our next hummus, which is going to be our smoky red pepper and garlic hummus. So like I said, don't forget to put this in the fridge if you can wait. I know it's going to taste really good already, but when you let it chill and let it sit in the fridge, All of the flavors just blend so well together, and it makes your hummus even better than it already tastes now. So that's one tip, remember, I want you to have. And also, we are going to be adding a few touches at the end to all of the different hummuses for presentation and taste purposes. So I'll add that at the end, okay? And as you can see, it's so creamy. You didn't need to remove the skins, so that's just something else that I also wanted to make note of. So let's move forward on to the next hummus. So for this hummus, you are going to need a red bell pepper, and we are going to cut all of the edges off and remove the seeds. I like to keep the stem and the seeds because I use all of my veggie scraps for veggie broth, so I'm storing that. And here you see I have some parchment paper, and I'm going to lay it out over a small pan, and I'm also going to put all of the red pepper that we just chopped up, and I'm going to lay it out evenly on the parchment paper. And then I'm going to add 2 to 3 cloves of garlic as well. So as you can see, I put those here. Obviously they are peeled, and I'm going to put them in the oven. So while that's cooking, let's start with the hummus. So we have our 2 cups of garbanzo beans, and we are going to add some smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon, and then we are also going to add a half a teaspoon of sea salt. Now, you can add this now or later to the recipe, it's your choice. Let's check on these roasted peppers and garlic. It looks like they're all done. So just broiling them for a few minutes gives them that nice brown consistency and roastedness, and we are going to put them into the high-speed blender. Now, you can let them cool off for just a few seconds if you like, but they'll cool down really fast. So I'm adding them all in there. And then next up, we are going to get the tahini ready. Make sure it's all mixed up. I use this brand by Trader Joe's, and we are going to put 3 tablespoons of tahini into the high-speed blender. And then next we have our lemon juice. We need 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, which is roughly 2 lemons. And remember, we are using fresh lemon juice, not any pre-made store-bought stuff. It's not going to taste the same. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin and blend this up until it is thoroughly blended and where all of the ingredients are nice and smooth. So I'm going to speed this up a bit because it can take a few minutes, and then we are going to add some of the aquafaba, the bean water. Now, the reason why I do this after all of the ingredients are blended is because depending on what type of hummus you're going to make, you're going to need more or less of the bean water, and you don't want to make it too runny if you add it beforehand versus after. So for example, in our original hummus, I use 4 tablespoons of the bean water. For this one, I'm only going to use 2. Now, if you like yours a little bit smoother or extra creamy, you can always just add a tablespoon at a time, mix it, and then you'll be able to see if that's the texture that you like. And that's pretty much it for this hummus here. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when it is all finished. So here it is, nice and creamy, so good, and has this beautiful orangey red color and a nice texture, so creamy. Again, we're going to put this in the fridge, let it sit for a few hours, and it is going to marinate with all of the flavor, and it is going to be amazing. So stay tuned for our preparation of it at the end. And I also want to note that this amount is just 1/3 of how much you actually get for each hummus recipe. And next up, for my spicy lovers, if you're anything like me and you like some spicy hummus, then you are going to need some hot peppers. Now, these are very, very hot, so I don't recommend using these unless your spice tolerance is really high. For someone that just likes a little spice, I'd say that regular jalapeños will do. About 4 is great. And you are going to set them on some parchment paper on a pan, and we are going to broil them for 5 to 6 minutes on high. And next up, we are going to prep the hummus. So we are going to add 2 cups of garbanzo beans, 1 teaspoon of cumin, a half a teaspoon of sea salt, and let's get that into the high-speed blender. And next up, Our peppers are all ready, so let's take them out of the oven. And as you can see, they are all nice and smoky. So we're gonna let those chill out for a second while they're really hot. And we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. Comes from 2 lemons. And then we are going to add 3 tablespoons of tahini. I love this brand from Trader Joe's. And make sure it's all mixed up. And then it's going to be time to add our hot peppers. Now, if you are somebody that likes the hot peppers, or even if you like jalapeños, but sometimes you notice they may be a little spicy, just de-seed them. That really will tone down the spice, but will give you all of the extra flavor of the actual peppers. So let's add those in here. And then you are going to add 6 tablespoons of the bean water, the aquafaba. And let's not forget, next up we have 1 clove of garlic. And then we are going to turn this on and speed it up. Now this is going to take a few minutes until it gets nice and creamy, and then I will show you the result here. It is all done. So now I'm going to put it in a small ramekin for presentation purposes, and then we are going to move on to the flatbread. Now this flatbread is gluten-free. It is made out of quinoa and water, and it is so similar to the texture of pita bread, except there's no gluten. It's gluten-free, and it's super simple, and you can also add all of your other ingredients to spice it up if you'd like. I kept this one really simple. I also have a whole video on how to make this. I will leave it in the link below. And this recipe is really easy because all you really need is quinoa. Even if you don't have quinoa flour, all you do is blend up the quinoa finely, and then you'll add water. And the ratio for the quinoa to water is usually 1:1. Now you just mix it also until you get the consistency of like a pancake batter. That's basically how I have always made them. So sometimes you'll notice for some reason, if you let the batter sit too long, it will start to thicken and you'll need to continuously add a little bit more water. So that's just another tip. And you can also use a blender instead of using a hand whisk, but I used a hand whisk and it worked out just fine. I added a little bit of sea salt to mine. You can leave that out if you like, or add some to yours as well. Now I'm using a non-stick pan here. This is very important if you want to keep this recipe oil-free, which I always do. So a ceramic pan is the way to go. If you don't have one, you should definitely invest in one. So you want to turn this on a medium-high heat and allow the batter to bubble up, and that's how you'll know that it's ready to turn it over. And as you can see, I just turn it over here just to allow it to brown on each side. And you can leave yours on a little bit longer if you like yours a little more crispy, but I like mine to be kind of soft. And as you can see here, I'm making another one, and I'm making it more of a rectangle shape, which kind of just makes it more similar to some flatbreads. So you can do it however you'd like. You can make fun shapes for your kids, or however you'd like to do it. You can make little small circles, and I'm just waiting until this browns. And for about 1 cup of quinoa, for about 1 cup of water, it should make about 4 or 5 of these large ones. And then I just cut them up into smaller pieces, and we're all done. This is how they look. Next up, we are going to add some necessary finishing touches to our hummuses, the 3 different flavorings. So the first one, which is the original hummus, the garlic one, we are going to add some parsley. Now this is a necessity for flavor, you guys. So cut some fresh parsley and sprinkle it over the top, and even mix it in. It tastes so good together. And we're also going to add a little bit of some paprika on the top. Off to our next hummus, our red pepper smoky hummus. We are going to add a little bit of smoked paprika on the top. And that's it for that one. Now, for our spicy hummus, we are going to add some Thai chilies to the top to give it that extra kick and flavor when you bite into each flavor bomb of hummus and flatbread. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of this on the top, and then we are ready to go, you guys. That is our 3 hummuses, and as you can see here, here's the few flatbreads that I have. I'm going to cut these up. Now you can just use them just like this and rip them apart, but for presentation purposes, I am going to cut them up here and set them out on a nice little cutting board display. And as you'll see, I cut these basically into fours, and that gave me a good amount of some like handheld size for one person serving little size pita breads, all for the dipping. Now, as I mentioned, you can use these for anything, but they taste so good with hummus, so I totally recommend using these for the hummuses. Now, you can also use raw vegetables as well, but this is what we're going to use for today, and so here they are, all 3 hummuses. Now, like I said, you can use whatever type of spices and ingredients you'd like for your hummus. You know how to start your base hummus now, and as you can see, I'm just dipping here, and with this pita flatbread made with quinoa, oh my gosh, it is so amazing. This is something you would love to make for your family and your friends. I hope you guys all enjoy. Let me know how it comes out, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.